G'day, Flosstube. Welcome back to Coughing and Cross Stitch. You know, of all the taglines, some of the others are so much cooler, but all good. This is the last week of Maynia. It is May 23rd, Saturday. I just filmed the last segment for last week's video. It's currently uploading. Hopefully by the time I finish filming this segment, that will be done and published. I have finished my last little critters on Tinctorium and am switching over to Hawaiian Mandala. Welcome to anybody who's just joining me for the first time. I have been doing Maynia in a vlog style where I basically every day attempt to show you my progress. Particularly during the work week, we often miss a day or two here and there. At the beginning of June, I will go back to my usual filming a once-off of all the things I've worked on for the previous 2, sometimes 3 weeks. I don't keep to a rigid schedule. I get there when I get there. But this week is Maynia. This week is the Hawaiian Mandala. And so I just wanted to film a quick segment to show you where I left off 2 weeks ago when I put Hawaiian down. And that is here. So I haven't actually stitched anything on it yet today. That is basically, as soon as I finish filming this, I will go sit in front of my space heater because it's still rainy, cold, and miserable, and proceed to get started on the next project. So last week I showed you I had some supplies come in, and this Midnight Dinky Die, I believe, is meant to go through the center of that medallion somewhere. So first job will be to fill in that wherever it's missing, and I believe when I left off I hadn't quite gotten out to the border of that medallion. So essentially, first thing for the week will be to finish up as much as I can in that center medallion, and then we'll look at working out to frame out those volcanoes so that we can switch them to Castle Hill. I always forget to say, 28 count cashel linen is what this is on. I've dyed this myself. It is very light dose of the Rit Camel dye. It's just a single tone. So that was a very simple dye job. I will be missing some of the colors in here yet, although I think I'm on to a good source for some of the Glorianas, but I don't, as per everything, who knows when they'll get here. Anyway, so that's what we're going to work on. Blue Dinky Die in there, and then I'll be back tomorrow. Have a good day, everybody. Bye. G'day, Flosstube. One of these days I'll be able to say that without coughing. It is Sunday, May 24th. The rain has stopped, thank God. It went on all day yesterday. It's dreadful cold. It's still dreadful cold this morning. My girls have got all their ski gear out, and they're wandering around in scarves, and the eldest is whinging that she doesn't have gloves. I've still got the space heater running in the background. We're not accustomed to this cold. So I spent a fair bit of time yesterday with virtual stitchers working on the Hawaiian Mandala. So you can see I've added a lot of the dark. This is that Midnight Dinky Dice that came in. Turns out that Midnight is a relatively solid color, and I think you would have been just fine swapping it out for DMC. I've got the two to show you in a second. Live and learn. That's just 310 doing a border, and then outside the 310 there's one, I think it's a gold treasure braid, a 1 pixel border all the way around. So hopefully today I can get those 2 borders complete. See if I can get a nice close up. That adding that darker blue in there really starts to make those corners pop. So you can see I've got a few spots in those corner motifs. There's here where I've added the black. Those squares surround large beads, so they will stay blank for quite a while. There's missing a bit of some sort of treasure braid in there, and we're missing a couple of thread gatherers inside that shape and inside the swirls yet. So I don't have any of the thread gatherer threads. I've never used thread gatherer threads, so really don't know what to expect with those. But before we get sidetracked with that, let me just show you this. So this is the Midnight thread that I bought. That's called for dinky dyes. And this is Martina's charted DMC replacement, 336. Actually looks more different in the camera than it does in real life. There is, you can see they're different, but it's not, this one is not as vibrant as it shows on the camera. So given I've swapped all the needlepoint silks and whatnot for DMC, I would have been just as happy to use that, but I am not so deliberate to look up a photograph of every single called for thread and decide. I went based off the fact that the other dinky dye was quite variegated. I had a copy of that, so I figured I needed to order the other dinky dye. Clearly that was a bit of a misjudgment. Anyway, all good, live and learn. I probably won't buy that Midnight color again. I'll use up what I have, and then in future I'll sub it out with DMC. So getting back to the thread gatherers, I really had intended to buy the thread gatherers, but given I've now started this and I'm missing a few, it's not really holding up the show, but you know, I can't call the centerpiece complete until those are put in. So around these swirls this is the DMC replacement that Martina's charted, and looking at the image of Periwinkle, I think was the original thread gatherers that was called. It looks, it's hard to tell, you know, as far as the actual color, how similar it is, because image colors are so notoriously wrong, but it definitely, the thread gatherers looks like a more or less solid color thread when it's that Periwinkle. So I'm thinking I will swap that one out for the DMC. And then same again in the little berry shapes. The called for thread gatherers in that was Pond Scum, which again looks more or less solid. So I'm going to swap it out for 832 in the DMC, which is Martina's charted replacement. I'm not going to commit to, at the moment, replacing all the thread gatherers with DMC. But basically, as I come to them in the chart, I will look at them, look at their picture online, and make a decision. But at least for these two, I think I'm relatively happy to just sub out the DMC and call it good. Yeah, and besides, kitting up this Hawaiian and, you know, partially kitting up the Tahiti in quick succession, husband's noticed a couple of charges, and yeah, we just have to behave a little bit more. So it'll be good. Sub out a couple of fancy ones. Oh, excuse me. So my daughter and husband were at Spotlight the other day, and so I had them pick up, these are Martina's charted replacements for the various thread gatherers that I didn't have already. So at least when those other colors come up, I can look at the DMC replacement, make a decision before I, commit one way or the other. It's DMC. If I don't use it in this, I'll stick it in the stash and it will get used in another project, no doubt. So the plan for today is to hop back on virtual stitchers because I'm not going outside, it's cold, and finish up the last of the midnight through that corner, try and get the 2 warders. And I'll probably go back and put these in before I start working out the frame. Does anybody else get the impression I might be avoiding working out the frame to those volcanoes and, making a commitment on those volcanoes? One of my smart aleck daughters was telling me the other day, Mom, you should chart 4 hills from the area so you have a different one in each corner. You could do one from Magnetic Island, one the Castle Hill, one Mount Stewart. I'm like, dude, my charting, that's not going to happen. We'll suffer it once, and we'll do it all 4 ways. So, all good. That's the plan for the day. Hopefully I'll get a fair bit done today because it's still a weekend, and then all bets are off for the week. So we'll see you tomorrow, probably after work. See ya. Okay, Flosstube. Tuesday, May 26th. Yeah, that about sums up how organized I feel today. My schedule is all off kilter because working from home this morning, doctor's appointment, then rush into town. Yeah. And then the whole after school routine's a whole other thing. Anyway, so missed yesterday's update. And here, hold on. Oh, kitty wampus. There we go. Now, it's not really straight. Okay, look at that medallion. If I tilt the board, then it's straight. All that, or the vast bulk of that medallion is done. There is a tiny little bit of gold to come across the top. I didn't want to cut a whole new bit and then have leftovers. I won't swear there isn't the odd stitch in there that needs attention yet. Very likely is. But for all intents and purposes, it's pretty stinking complete. You can see I did go ahead and commit with those DMCs. And the purple in there. And I'm happy enough with how they look, so we will just continue with those DMCs. Reminder, those were originally thread gatherers that looked on the web more or less solid. So I just swapped them for their DMC equivalents. This little gap in there, that is also meant to have a thread gatherers in there. However, I can tell from the image on the web that there's some variation. It's a purple, and so it goes from lighter to darker purple. And because it's very solid in that border all the way around that frame, I think I'll hold off on that one until I can get my hands on the actual thread gatherer thread that was really originally called for. So once I get these Glorianas sorted, I guess thread gatherers are the next on the list. Haven't been back to revisit. I think there is a few more stitches in the middle here that are thread gatherers that I don't have, but not very many. Anyway, so obviously trying to frame out that bit where the volcano is going to go. And I actually did very little stitching yesterday. Most of this is over the weekend because I've been finalizing my rechart of Castle Hill to go in here. And I have decided that my rechart is very much artist's impression of. It's not going to be super realistic, but I'm going to do the front-on face of the hill so that you can see the uni saint, and I'll backstitch that saint in there. So if anybody's looking at it going, is it or isn't it? They'll see the saint and they'll see that, yes, indeed, that is Castle Hill. Anyway, so when I get to work today, I'll have to print off the chart I have. I need to make a run to the big box store to get the colors that I've picked, because of course I picked the ones that I don't have any of on hand, so that we can start actually filling in Castle Hill and see how it looks. Fingers crossed. So until I can get all those final threads and printouts organized and that sort of stuff, I'll probably just continue on the 4 corners of frames, because that's acres of black. The only thing is it's a bit nerve-wracking counting out these, because it's 23, 24 repetitions, you know, and things won't line up if you are off. So double checking those, counting those, and starting to work around. And hopefully I will catch you tomorrow, maybe even with a few stitches of Castle Hill in there. All right, see you guys. Bye. G'day, Flosstube. It is Thursday, May 28th, so pretty sure we missed a couple of days. You know, just a little bit of a time warp going on. It's all good. Yeah, we have progress. I have hill in this triangle. So let's have a look. Can you see the hill yet? I don't know. This is going to be an awful lot of stitching to pick out if I absolutely hate it. So I really hope this works. I ended up picking a color scheme. I went with like the 300, 301, 400. Figured that was the right sort of reddy brown. Had the local girls all weighed in on it, and it was pretty unanimous. So that's what we're going with. The way the hill is shaped, because we're looking at the front face, it's a fairly rounded face, but there's another hill that comes off to the side and kind of a bit of a ravine of vegetation, I suppose, and I was kind of playing with specialty stitches that I can put in there so it isn't just flat cross stitches, and keeps a bit more of Martina's specialty look to it. But yeah, there's brown in there, but I can't see much yet, so fingers crossed this all turns out. I hope everybody is having a good time with their Maynia. It's a bit sad to think it's already the 28th and Maynia is almost over, but I suppose there's always next year. And I am looking forward to having a go at some of my other projects again too. So, all good. I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, so not working. And hopefully we'll get a lot of stitching time. In fact, I have to take the car in to get the windshield replaced. And so I will take my stitching along and use that as an excuse to sit down while I have nothing better to do, waiting for him to replace my windshield. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye. G'day, Flosstube. Friday, 29th of May. Something about coughing or talking triggers a coughing freaking time. Okay. I had hoped to have an awesome stitchy day because I had to basically sit and wait for my car windscreen to get changed, and I figured, excellent, I'll have all this time to sit in a waiting room and nothing better to do but stitch. Yeah, the guy that was there was a real gas bag, so a lot of talking, not much stitching, which is a bit of a bummer, but continuing to work on the hill. I'm going to pop a photo of what we're aiming for. I deliberately went and simplified that photo down to only about 4 colors. So you lose a lot of the striations in the rocks. But that was about the number of colors that Martina had in her original volcano, and I didn't want to have highly detailed photographic sort of representation here when none of the rest of the piece was like that. So you're going to lose detail. Go figure. So I picked that particular shot partly because from that face of the hill, it is less recognizable as a distinct hill, but you get a clear shot of the saint. So I will backstitch the saint that you can see it's highlighted in that photo onto the highlighted portion. The other reason I ended up picking that particular photo is it was an evening photo, and the background of Martina's volcanoes was dark blue, so we'll stick with that dark blue and the moon sort of thing. I don't actually have as much area up here for her, which was her eruption. I was going to just make it sort of moon and stars as I had kind of hoped, but you know, we're making this work. For the moment, I have left a handful of stitches right along the bottom. They were a lot of metallics in the volcanoes, presumably reds and whatnot for the lava. I'm thinking I might swap those out for green metallics to try and kind of represent the bushes and the vegetation that grows. But I won't make it solid. It'll just be a couple of stitches, and then I'll fill in with yet another darker brown that will be the base. So that's the plan there. Now, if you're looking at the photo, you can see there's two actual hills. There's this hill that's got the saint on it, and then there's another one that comes in from the side with a bit of vegetation between there. So I started down here to avoid that issue, but now I'm getting close enough, and I think I've marked out on my chart about 9 rice stitches that I will, very small rice stitches, only 2 by 2, that I will run up that gap between the two hills to be the vegetation. That's the plan. So actually looking at it in the camera, because I can't see the individual stitches as much, it looks a bit more like a hill. I keep looking at this going, I got a mess of dirt. I don't see much of a hill. But you are starting to see a bit of the rounding out. So, I don't know. It's an adventure. But I am off to the community center, so this is going to have to go away for the rest of the day because I think it's going to be a busy night tonight. We've gotten a lot of pre-orders and stuff already, and I haven't even gotten there yet. So I will get ready to go. Probably won't get a great deal of stitching this evening because by the time I get home I'm too exhausted. But I will continue to work on this piece through Saturday and Sunday. That brings us to the end of May, and so I will do the vlog until Sunday. And then June 1st I will go back to updates as per normal. So hope you enjoyed your look at the Hawaiian mandala. See you tomorrow. Bye. G'day, Flosstube. It is Saturday 30th, I think. Pretty sure. Hawaiian mandala. Still working on that? Go figure. Working on that hill. Let's just say I am no Martina. So obviously I filled quite a bit of the hill in. I have, you can hardly even see it in the camera, put little bushes because there's bits of vegetation that run along the bottom of the hill, and so I had spaced those out so that they were nice and, I don't know, geometrically repeating, you know, similar to the way the rest of the mandala is. We talked last week, there's a bit of vegetation that runs up between the two hills, so that I've kind of marked out where there'll be rice stitches to go in to do those. I'm not super fussed. I'm wondering if I should pull out and kind of make it curve a bit more here. We have our little graffiti saint up the top. I don't know. Like, I don't hate it enough that I'm gonna rip all of that out. No way that it's that bad. I don't love it either. Bit bummed. After having got this whole thing in, I'm wondering whether I should have gone with the more distinctive flat face angle rather than front on. But again, I'm not convinced I'm want to rip it all out to have another go at starting over and putting something else in. I expect I probably will take this bit of vegetation and pull it out more this way. That much ripping out I can handle. Obviously I haven't finished, most of the dark bit is finished for the rest of that hill, but then there's a bit of light face in there as well. Kind of wish I'd brought these bushes up farther. They don't really stand out with the dark base of the hill. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I expect at this point I may spend tomorrow basically just doing my last day and then another bit of outlining or something and think on it, because it's not what I had in my head. And sometimes I think we're our own worst enemy, because I had this really awesome picture in my head and I haven't been able to make it reality. But that's not specific to cross stitch. You know, I run into that all the time with the mixed media and the cards and whatnot that I do. So, you know, sometimes you get a result that is freaking awesome and you love it. It was not what you intended, but it's awesome anyway. And sometimes you're like, eh, and this is one of those kind of days, which is a bit of a bummer because that's a lot of stitching. Yeah, I don't know. But I think we're going to put it away for the night because I'm just, yeah. My biggest drama at the moment is I don't want to put it away for the week at this stage, because if I put it away for the week I won't want to pull it out again. So I feel like maybe I should at least rip out this bit and see whether rejigging the angle of that vegetation makes me feel a bit better about it. Because as it is, it's too straight gashy. Doesn't look like anything, I reckon. So maybe that's what I should do. I don't know. Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow you'll find out what I did do. And it'll either be more frame or maybe oh my gosh. Hope your day went better than mine. I think that's the first time I've coughed this segment. Alright. See you tomorrow. Today, Flosstube. It is Sunday, May 31st, the last day of Maynia. And the last day for a while of the Hawaiian Mandala. So I think when I left it yesterday, I was a bit bummed with how the hill was looking. So you can see I ripped out that section. That straight line was where the vegetation used to run, and I made it curve more along with the shadow. Obviously I haven't restitched the cross stitch excuse me, bits again yet. At that point, I guess I decided I was happier. I won't go so far as to say happy, but happier. But I wanted to leave this project on a bit of a better note where I wasn't so disappointed, because I didn't want to put it away and like be dreading pulling it out again. It's too cool for that. So I went in and I added this little motif up top. You can see there's just really faint blue bits. The next section that goes in here is where those hibiscus flowers that I was debating on changing into friend pennies are. Given our less than stellar success with the hill, I'm not convinced I'm game to try this twice in the same mandala, but you know, maybe by the time I get back up there, I will change my mind. A couple of the things that are still bothering me with this hill, I kind of wish I'd made those tree bits bigger. So I don't know whether to rip them out and, make them larger. Or simply to leave them the same size and try one of these other threads. These are from elsewhere in the pattern. And I just thought maybe they'd contrast better with the dark browns that they're in. And then stand out a bit more. And then, like you do, if you look at the photo, there's only kind of the treetops that stick up there. So the fact that there's small bits of vegetation, that is accurate, but I just think it gets lost a bit. The other thing I'm not sold yet is that saint graffiti up there. That's about my third attempt at stitching that. The first time I did it in silver, thinking, oh, it'll be cool to have some extra bling. Couldn't see that at all, so ripped that back out. I did it in black, which stood out nice against the light brown, and you could definitely tell what it was, but it's not right, because if you see in the photo, the saint is done in white paint. So then I ripped that out, and like all along, I was worried about not being able to see the white on that light brown, and sure enough, it blends in. That's actually done with 2 strands in backstitch to try and make it a little more prominent. Yeah, so I think at this point, like, that's so little stitching, I'll just leave it till I finally decide what I'm going to do, and then if I need to, I'll rip that out. That's not a big deal. Kind of like the black the best of what I had. I don't know whether I took a photo of it when it was black or not. If I did, I'll put it in so you can see it, even though it's not accurate to what the actual hill is. In any case, like, I am happy enough that if a local looks at that, they will know what that hill is, and they will get it. So it's not an utter failure. I'm just thinking I'm not half as good as this Martina was. And I don't really feel like it blends seamlessly into her design as I might have liked it to. But, live and learn. It's still cool, and it'll still be unique. And one way or another, I think I'll persist with Castle Hill rather than rip it out and put those volcanoes in, because volcanoes they're nothing to me or in this part of the world. You can see I started adding a bit more in the leaves. There's pineapples that sit in that gap on all 4 sides. So I started adding pineapple leaves and stuff too. One of these colors, I think this one up the top, is another one of the thread gatherers that I hadn't yet bought, and Googled and decided, it's not too much variegation, so I'll just use the DMC because I have it on hand, and I don't know when any kind of thread gatherer stuff is going to show up at this point. So that's where we're at. I'm going to put it away at this point. Make plenty of notes about what I did up here, so that, if it's a month before I pull it out again, we're not scratching our head trying to think, what did I do? And then, in my next video in a couple of weeks, I'll give you an recap for May with the Stitch from Stash. At least doing how many days I stitched on everything should be fairly simple maths, because there was only 2 projects. And hopefully we'll get some more haul by that time too. I don't know. We shall see. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed your Maynia. Those of you who lasted the entire month. And those of you who had a shortened Maynia, I hope you enjoyed the first half of the month. I can definitely see the appeal in a shortened Maynia. To be honest, I'm quite ready to go on to the next thing at this point. A month was getting a bit long. I was feeling a bit, I don't know what to pick up next now that this whole big event has finished. So I spun the wheel, and the wheel has told me I have to finally take out the triptych and finish the back stitching on that. So I think in this case I will listen to the wheel and get that knocked out, because it would be good to have a sizable finish to compensate for some of the sizable starts we've just had. All good. See you in a couple of weeks, guys. Bye.